Welcome to Keeping It Clear with Cody Bowen. This has got to be at least our probably 10th show, I would imagine. I don't know. I don't really keep track in my head, but this is a live interactive show with myself, Dodsey, and Sheriff Bowen, and we talk about just what's going on in Union County. I want to make sure that everybody that's watching tonight knows that this is not politically driven. This is sponsored by Loveland Safe Ride. This is a regular show on our network. We won't be answering any political questions. We won't be asking any questions about the upcoming race. What I will tell you is there will be a forum at the high school on October 3rd at 6 p.m. And that's where you can ask questions, and that's where the political stuff will come in. You can scan the QR code that was just on the screen, or that's on the screen right now, and submit questions for that. But as for tonight, this is just one of our regular run shows, Keeping It Clear with Cody Bowen. We talk about issues in LeGrand. We take questions from you guys. You can submit them right here, or you can email me, kyle@eoalive.tv, and I'll ask Cody the questions. And we basically just talk about issues that are pertinent to right now, really. Cody, how are you?
I'm great.
Good.
Feels like it's been a while since I've been in here, though.
I know.
Yeah.
You're busy. You're a busy man.
Yeah. Definitely a busy year for me. Like you said, we started this thanks to the Loveland program. Once I got elected sheriff 4 years ago, we wanted something that we could do where we could, bring stuff to the general public, and the transparency, keeping that out there and open it up, live questions to people. And that's what keeps this show going is, obviously Loveland and that sponsorship, you guys, the partnership, and then questions from the public.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like he said, questions from the public. Somebody needs to break the ice. There's always that icebreaker, right? Yeah. Somebody's got to ask the first question. Usually it's me, but I'm talking about in the comments, the questions. Tell me about the last few months. What's been going on at the sheriff's office?
We've had a few little changes here and there. We do have a spot open in our corrections department right now. We do have a gentleman that's in the background phase that we're looking at filling that with. I'm always talking to folks out in the public, trying to continually build our reserve program. We have a few patrol reserves. We always have room for more corrections reserves. Always putting the word out there for that. The corrections reserve is a neat opportunity for people to get in there, kind of get their feet wet, see if they like law enforcement or not. But it's voluntary. It's on your time. So if you can, we call you up and say, hey, can you work this Saturday 12-hour shift? Yeah, I can do that. Come in. All the training is hands-on. It's right there. You don't have to go to the academy. We teach you in-house, and you get paid for it. So I'm always looking to recruit corrections reserves and patrol reserves. Exciting news, we just started a drone program. We've been working on it for a few months. Been working on the grant itself to get the equipment. We sent one of our deputies over to Pendleton to the UAV center over there, and he's all up to speed and flight status and ready to go, legal, so he can fly that drone. We also have another gentleman in search and rescue, Willie Keepin. So we'll have two pilots for our new drone. Our drone showed up 2 weeks ago right now, and it's just a matter of getting excited and using it and getting out in the field. And it's going to be crucial to our search and rescue missions for sure, but just overall safety if we're executing search warrants, if we're trying to get some recon on a house that we're about to go into, safety wise, crashes, vehicle accidents. It's going to be it's a game changer for us. So
sounds cool.
It's got a speaker on it so we can talk through it. It's got the infrared. It's got a lot of different.
So you could throw it up above a house come out.
Like, what are you doing in there?
Yeah. Like, why is there a drone in my window right now?
Yes. And there are laws and regulations that come along with that. So general public, we don't just fly around and check out your windows. Our hands are tied a little bit there. But yeah, it'll be a huge benefit to the department. A big shout out to the Wild Horse Foundation over there. They funded the entire program for us, about $15,000 for the drone. When it comes to the equipment, they funded the equipment. There will be some ongoing stuff that maintenance-wise, batteries and stuff over the years, but we're up and running with it and ready to go, and excited for that to come to Eastern Oregon. It's one of those technological advances that we didn't think that we'd see in a long time, and it's nice to have it right here.
Yeah. What do you think it's going to be most used for?
Most used for, our search and rescue.
Search and rescue?
Yeah, very, very busy in that. There's a lot of times where we need to we'll ask Lifelight to fly over and see if there's a landing zone, or see if what the terrain looks like down there. Can we get to them on foot? Can we take ATVs? That type of stuff. It'll be used for that. It'll be used for anything that I can think of. When we've used drones, crash recon, that type of stuff, reconstruction. Mostly OSP does that for us, but flying over zones to get an overhead picture for evidence, or flying over, crime scenes, if you will, just to paint the picture. I think we're going to use it now that we have it, obviously more than we ever did before, but I think it's going to come in handy quite often.
Yeah. I mean, it's so versatile.
Yeah.
I mean, the big thing being, like you said, like we live in kind of a remote area.
Yeah.
There's a lot of remote areas where you need to know what, what you're getting yourself into before you go in and try to find somebody.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like it.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Keeping It Clear with Cody Bowen, brought to you by Loveland Safe Ride. Let's talk about Loveland and the Safe Ride program for a minute. We're through summer, right? We got through all the rodeos. We got through all the stuff pretty much until New Year's.
Yes.
Where Loveland's Safe Ride's involved, and I don't know if you know this off the top of your head, but I'm gonna hit you with it. It has how many DUIs? Roughly.
I'll tell you exactly. Related to events throughout Union County, we've had two.
Two. And that's over the span of the whole summer.
The whole summer.
Wow.
Yeah. Jerry comes to me at the beginning of the year, and after each event, it's how many DUIs, how many DUIs, how many DUIs. And 9 times out of 10, I've reported to him zero.
Right.
Yeah. So I can guarantee you that program is saving lives.
2 is so small too. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Compared to what we used to have, it's night and day difference.
It definitely saved. We have a question. Kat Dooley says, I love the progressive approach. Are there any other forward-thinking ideas in the upcoming plans? I think she's talking in regards to as a whole. Yeah.
Forward thinking is something that I'm very proud of. Our office isn't stagnant by any means. And I attribute that a lot to the ability that, number one, my door is always open. And anytime that we have any ideas or somebody has an idea, they're comfortable enough to come to me and say, hey, what do you think about this? What do you know about that? Even my front office staff, we were just having a discussion today about an event coming up that they want to do. Forward thinking in our office, obviously, is paying attention to other law enforcement agencies across the states, the nation. What's working, what's not working, what's beneficial to some things. When I think of forward thinking, I think of our mental health situation right here at home. The training that our deputies receive, the ability for them to go out and work hand in hand with people from CHD, with crisis, through our ER nurses to our EMT staff, all being on the same page. I think the biggest thing that will help us in progression going forward is keeping those lines of communication open, understanding that we're all in this same team together, different department heads, different people, different jobs, different responsibilities. My guys and we know when to step back and say, that's not our area. What can I do to help? And then obviously with staffing. Forward thinking is, we have to plan for a couple of retirements coming up in the next few years. Something that I'm really excited about that it's not quite public knowledge yet, but we'll make it public knowledge.
All right, let's do it.
I'm working with Intermountain ESD and the school districts here in Union County, but specifically with Elgin and Embler, and we're trying to get an SRO in Elgin and Embler right now as we speak. We have another meeting next week, so I'm really excited about that. As you know, my heart is in the SRO program. Right. I think that the biggest thing for me with the kids is just being there, being engaged, being involved, showing them as a form of structure and a form of consequence, but most importantly, somebody that they can come to and talk to and rely on and share their stories with, share their problems with, go to them for advice. And then the consequence thing comes in afterwards. Helping out the schools with policy, with threat assessments, with safety concerns, just being there and being engaged.
Presence.
So I'm really excited about that. I would like to see an officer in every school in our county, other than, we have, in Elgin right now, we have the 3 deputies that are contracted out there. So they take their time, they walk through the schools, they work the school zones, that type of stuff, but we don't have a dedicated person just in the hallway of the schools. So right now, next week, I believe, or the week after, we're going to get together with all the superintendents in the district and sit down and say, what does this look like? I think the funding's available. The schools mentioned that they've received some additional funding, and they can, of course, it's something that I want sustained. You know, I want it to be a several-year program because, you know, if I hire somebody on a contract and then the contract falls through, then I lose that person. You know, our contracts provide positions, which in turn provide the extra service. So,
okay, gotcha.
Excited about that.
That is exciting.
Other progression, we have a couple new vehicles that we've ordered based off of, you know, working through the budget, and it's a new budget season for us, or in the middle of it almost, but we've got 2 new Tahoes that are coming. I'm a little nervous about the color. So this was one of my issues with former administrations. So why can't we have a vehicle so they're all the same color every year? Well, between the manufacturers changing color or what's available or what's not available, I've learned to just accept it because we have some black ones, we have some silver ones, we have some white ones. And what's most important to me is that the guys have safe vehicles right now to operate.
100%.
I don't care what the color. If they were pink, I mean, I'm kind of partial to pink, but if they were pink, I know that people would be okay with it. But visibility alone. But these vehicles, they're Chevy Tahoes, and they're a sage color. So they're kind of a metallic silver, but they got a little green to them. So that lime color kind of came out once. But I saw one in town the other day that I've seen about 5 different variations of this color. I'm excited about that.
They're not Pendleton green.
No.
Okay.
No.
Because otherwise we'd have a problem there.
They're not green. They're not yellow. No, they're definitely a middle of the road. They don't align with any sports team.
Thank God.
If that day ever comes, they'll be blue and white.
Yeah. What about so as far as the SROs? You have Deputy Humphreys out in Union, and does he do Cove too, or just Union and North Powder?
He does Union, Cove, and North Powder, and he comes into LeGrand also on Fridays.
And does like the younger kids school, like the
grade schools, middle schools, high school. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So
pretty much K through 12, the SROs are involved with.
Nice.
Yep.
So basically, right now, Embler and Elgin are the only schools that don't have SROs?
Correct. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Assigned SROs. Yeah.
Right.
We have deputies that obviously respond to situations and whatnot. And like I said, in Elgin, they spend some time in the schools, but Embler doesn't have an SRO program. Elgin doesn't have an SRO program, and that's what we're looking to address right now. So, and then also in turn, how that looks like having 3 SROs, how do the other schools get more coverage as well? You know, extracurricular activities, games, you know, because there's sometimes where Cove will have a game and Union will be having a game and they'll want an SRO. Well, I've only got one guy to choose from, so we got to pick, you know, which way it goes, or he bounces back and forth. So having more manpower obviously will give us more coverage. We'll be able to, you know, the best program we can take to Elgin and Embler if we have an SRO. Excited about that, you know, being in with the 5th graders and I'm really excited about that.
Why don't you talk about the best program a little bit?
Yeah.
I mean, we have talked about it before, but give the viewers an idea of what it's about.
Yeah, the BEST program is basically Union County's version of DARE. Myself and Deputy Humphreys, you know, when I first got hired on, we got trained in that, and he had been teaching it already, but then you had to be certified to teach it. So we both got certified, came back, and we've been teaching that to the 5th grade and 6th grade classes for the last, well, I would say close to 20 years that Deputy Humphreys has been doing it, but I had done it for 10 years before I got elected to sheriff, and then Deputy Hernandez worked with the school districts. We wanted something that we felt that DARE just kind of got stagnant, and it didn't really address marijuana. We still wanted to address marijuana because it's one of those drugs that it's still a drug. It still has its legal limitations on youth, tremendous effects on youth and how they function and their involvement. So we wanted to keep that curriculum in there, and then we wanted to address it as far as, you know, when it came to issues that they have in school, you know, developing the team of people that you have around your support system, evaluating your decisions, talking to one another, but more importantly, knowing who to talk to, but how to talk to somebody. You know, a lot of kids, especially when it comes to bullying or, you know, being victimized in anything, they just don't know how to talk about it, or they don't want to go home and talk to dad because they feel like they're going to be, they're going to make fun of me, or it's not that big a deal, or, you know, or their friends are saying it's not that big of a deal, and it is a big deal. It helps our children learn coping skills, and it helps an out and how to talk to people and how not to be a victim. Justin, Deputy Hernandez, worked hand in hand with school counselor Teresa Dowdy and Scott Carpenter. And the three of them, Teresa put a lot of work into this program. Scott put a tremendous amount of work into it. Justin took everything that he had from his personal knowledge of growing up in an addiction household to everything that he learned in drug task force to working with families to being a street cop to being in the schools. The three of them combined and put that all together. It's almost 100%, I think, complete as far as evidence-based. So it's eligible for stuff, grant-wise and funding. And then we're tracking exactly, the effects of it and how it's working in Union County, and that'll take time on that because obviously, the fifth grader, we need to know once they complete high school, go back and look and, did you use these tools? Did you use these skills? Was it beneficial? Did you like it? And most of the feedback, 99% of it's all, we love it. It works great. Even parent involvement, kids going home and engaging in conversations with stuff that they've learned at school, not just with their regular teacher, but with the SRO coming in. And a big shout out to Grand Run Hospital. Grand Run Hospital has helped fund that. The workbooks, every kid gets a workbook that we go through. Every kid that graduates the program gets a t-shirt.
Oh, cool.
So every kid, eventually every kid, once we get Elgin and Embler in there, every kid in Union County is going to go through that BEST program. And I'm super excited about it. The deputies are passionate about it. The teachers and the staff are 100% on board and they love having it. It's just a great addition to a lot of the wonderful things we have in the school district already.
Love it. Yeah. So, viewers, when you sit back and you say, what are you doing about the drug problem in Union County? That's part of the answer right there. I mean, there are things being done that not everybody knows about, right? Sure. Like the average person, that doesn't have kids doesn't know that this is going on. You know what I mean? Right. And that's part of the battle against drugs here in Union County. This is a live interactive show, Keeping It Clear with Cody Bowen. We rely on your questions. I mean, I got a lot of questions. I can sit here and ask him questions all night. I would rather ask him your questions, but my next question, this one's from me. September 1st is come and gone.
Yes.
What's changed?
So basically what's changed now is that there's no longer, basically if you're in possession of a narcotic, meth, fentanyl, heroin, it is now a crime again.
Okay.
Which is outstanding for us in the field. What has not changed is they took away a lot of the tools that we used to be able to use to get into those situations and ask questions and develop probable cause to find out if they had some type of substance in there. Up until September 1st, if there was a baggie of meth in your center console and we could see it with plain view, you got a $100 ticket. Now you go to jail. It's a misdemeanor crime. Okay. What's exciting about that is that there's going to be some consequences again, and I know that goes 50-50 in the addiction world and the recovery world. Consequences can either change that person's life, or they will continue down that path until they're ready to make that decision. Right? And I don't want to talk about that, but yeah, we've got with that changing. What that's done is put another tool back in our belt, and it's given us the ability to work on informants. That's been a big thing. So when we started the task force back up with the idea of this is coming, we need to get the task force established and get them back rolling, get their connections out there, get the people working for us, start developing these cases. And these cases take several months to develop. Now what we have is that if we catch somebody with some type of narcotic and they're not, they haven't, committed a heinous crime or a person crime or a theft or anything like that, we can basically say, look, I'm going to hold on to this citation, but you're going to help us out. So when we say help us out, we're looking at trying to get the bigger fish. We really want the traffickers, we want the manufacturers, we want the people that are bringing it into Union County. I don't want to crack down. I want to crack down, but I don't want to. The addict out on the street, the home user, that's not the problem that we have. No. The problem that we have is the people that are bringing it into Union County and making a profit of it and killing our children. Yeah. That's 100%. The problem that we have. So this will help us address that more. It will get some more arrests, but it'll also help us develop bigger cases, which are going to take time. I have spoke with my deputies as far as, we want results. Everybody's excited for it. We are seeing some results. We won't know the exact numbers until I would say probably close to the end of the year, statewide as far as that goes. Deflection program, which was part of this being re-upped into making it criminal. They want each county to have a deflection program. We're working with the DA's office in CHD and some of our neighboring counties like Baker County. Baker County has a detox, and they have treatment facility right there in-house.
Yeah.
So we're talking to them about inpatient treatment. We're talking about, so the idea behind the defection program is we come across somebody that says, you know, first time that they've ever been in trouble with the law and they've got drugs in their possession. We can offer them, we're going to write this citation out for misdemeanor crime. These are what you're looking at, X, Y, and Z. Or we can take you to our local deflection, our detox center. You can check yourself in. You can follow all the guidelines there. Then it'll work with an advocate from the district attorney's office, someone with CHD, someone in recovery. And if they follow all those steps and they enter recovery and they're successful, that crime goes away. That misdemeanor goes away. That's in the hands of the DA. They get to decide, and then the judges. But it's another option. What we see here locally is we don't see a lot of folks that this is their first time offense. So the deflection program doesn't really qualify. What we also don't see is we don't have a detox center here, and we don't have in-house treatment in Union County for for addiction or for mental health. Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, there's somebody we can find to help them. But any time other than that, it's a struggle to get them where they need to be at that time. Because you know as well as I do, somebody can say, Sheriff Bowen, I'm ready to go to detox right now. I'm ready to go, take me. And there's no place to take them. You know, we don't have, our place to take them is to jail or to
you either have to have ties or get really lucky.
For sure.
If you really want to go to detox.
No.
Like,
I'm an advocate for, you know, we used to have a lot of mental health treatment in the state of Oregon. A lot of those facilities closed with the promise of Measure 110. The money that was supposed to be generated from that was supposed to open up new mental health treatment, new addiction services, detox centers, and that there's been zero. So that really, the falsification of that Measure 110, how it was presented, because it sounded like a good idea. But the follow through on the backside of it never happened. So obviously the measure completely crashed, and it has made Oregon an embarrassment of the nation when it comes to drug laws. So they've recognized that, and I say they, I mean legislation in Salem. With the September law coming through, it's really put just another tool back in our belt. So I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see some consequences and some accountability because I'm tired of saying that this is all we can do. I'm tired of saying that, you know, we can't take them to jail because Oregon won't allow us.
I'm sure people are tired of hearing that too.
I know they are. I know. This time of year, that's one thing I hear, you know, is it's like, take them to jail and keep them in jail. I would love to.
Right.
I would love to, because people need consequences for their actions. And the state of Oregon has said, no, we in my terms of it, we're going to continue to feed the bear and create this problem. And then, you know, when it gets bad enough, so
put a Band-Aid on it.
Yeah. So it's really nice to be able to get back into the swing of holding people accountable. As far as, you know, the catch and release in the jail, I still have no say over that. Yes, it is my jail. Yes, it's my control. But Oregon legislature, Oregon law dictates when those people are released and when those people go to see the judge. So, yeah. But
Kathy, I will ask Cody your question when we come back from the break, but in the meantime, I need to know what part of the county you're in, whether you're in LeGrand, Elgin, North Powder, Union Cove, so I can make it more specific for him. Keeping it clear with Cody Bowen, brought to you by Loveland Safe Ride. Man, Loveland Safe Ride. I can't say enough good things about that program. We'll be back.
Eastern Oregon is full of interesting people, with interesting minds and interesting things to say. Here at EO Live, we're committed to connecting you to these intriguing people with EO Talks. We let our special guests share their ideas and life experiences with deep, open, engaging, and inquisitive conversations. You'll also be informed in depth on some of the most recent and relevant events, issues, and more. EO Talks on EO Live, your connection to Eastern Oregon, now on Roku. Here in Eastern Oregon, we're blessed to live in such a wonderful area. And though it may seem mild-mannered, there's actually quite a lot that goes on in this area. And apparently, there's two dinguses who happen to be here that are actually crazy enough to get up at the crack of dawn to talk about it. Tune into AM Live on EOA with Brent and Dodsey, featuring special guests, weather, sports, news, and more, every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 a.m., only on EOA Live, your connection to Eastern Oregon, now on Roku.
Welcome back. Keeping it clear with Cody Bowen, brought to you by Loveland Safe Ride. Kathy didn't answer, but I'm gonna answer. I'm gonna ask the question anyways, and you can just kind of make it for each area.
Okay.
Kathy Lee says, "Can you address staffing issues? My family's last 3 attempts for deputy contact were not timely."
Well, yeah, that is a staffing thing at time, but then it's also falls on our shoulders as far as follow-up. It's very important to me that the deputies are doing that follow-up, responding to those calls, number one, but then following up with the person. And I would say that the biggest thing, and I don't know the particular information on Kathy's ask here, but what I found is that sometimes when somebody calls in and they'll report something. They'll say, I'm following a careless driver, this and that, and the dispatch center gets their information, pass that on to the deputy, and then there's no follow-up done with that person that made the report. So what I've asked people in that situation is that if you want to speak with the deputy, number one, I've addressed it in a staff meeting with my staff that I expect more follow-up out of you guys. I expect, you're giving me 100% right now, but I need 110% out of you. Follow up to these calls, even when you think that you don't need to. And that comes out of me as working at Les Schwab. Customer service was crucial in that role. Customer service followed me in how I was made as a leader, how I was made as a deputy, how I am as a sheriff now. It's important to develop a higher level of customer service than what the person expects, giving them more than what they expect. So I've addressed that on my end with my deputies, and I hope this isn't something recently. But I will say that
she did answer.
What'd she say?
She said she's out Hunter Road. One incident was in Union. One was on Hunter Crossroads, Stanley. The other was in front of her house.
Okay.
So I think obviously like you can address it kind of broad.
Sure.
But without knowing the exact specifics, I mean it's going to be kind of hard, right?
And honestly, Kathy, if you're still listening, I would appreciate just a phone call. Just call me.
Yeah, talk about it. Yep.
And let me know. Give me the exact details. I can find out exactly what the staffing was at that time. If there was a priority call that took place in a different part of the county, if the situation had been addressed, and then just nobody was instructed to follow up with you. Because a lot of the times we'll follow up with somebody, we'll get a third-party call or something, and we'll address it with the victim themselves and then the suspect. But then that other person that it was very involved at the beginning, they don't get that follow-up. They don't know what took place. So follow-up is a concern. Like I said, if you have specific incidents, I would love to hear about them because I know that I can find the answer to you for you. I will tell you, it's not. Every one of these deputies has a passion for what they do. They have a passion to serve people. I can tell you it's not about the money. It's not about the accolades because there are very few in this profession. They do it because they love to do it and they love to take care of people. So if that's not being portrayed or that service is not being given, I need to know about it so I can address it. But Kathy, if you don't have my number, call the office. They can give it to you. All the calls go directly to my cell phone. I'll be more than happy to sit down and have a cup of coffee, discuss it with you, and get some answers for you.
Yeah. So people that are watching, this is a live interactive show. So ask some questions. We'll continue to conversate. What about the summertime? Do things ramp up in the summertime? Are we like coming on like a little like slowing down time?
Yeah, and the things that ramp up is not only just that the bad guys are out later, if you will,
right? Yeah,
or the people
nice.
Coming to town, the travelers. With our interstate that comes through, the train station that comes through. Not that the train station is real active, but the train is still a mode of travel for folks that like to break the law that way. So during the summer months, we see a lot of activity. We see people passing through. We see crime rise at a certain point. Once school's back in session now and kids are at home and they're expected, there's a curfew in place for the city, you see that level start to drop down a little bit. And then we have the cooler weather coming up. I don't like to go outside when it's freezing cold.
No.
Doesn't matter if I'm clean and sober, I'm an addict, I'm a criminal, I'm a businessman. It doesn't matter. It's my time is spent more inside.
Right.
So yeah, we will see a decrease in that. We will see an increase, obviously, in motor vehicle accidents, that type of stuff with the weather. Call volume, I would say, continues, but the type of call becomes different.
So it kind of just keeps the scale even by the amount of calls for accidents compared to, so that they're staying busy regardless.
Yeah, you're staying busy 100%. The deputies, I will tell you, they're overworked and underpaid just because of the staffing, and we're fully staffed within the budget we have. But also during the summer months, everybody's out and about. You know, you're out later in the evenings, earlier in the mornings. You're enjoying your time with your family. You're seeing this stuff. You're paying attention to this stuff versus being inside your home where it's cold or where it's warm. And so when I say that, you know, the criminal activity is up, it's more visible because there's more people on the right side of the law and the good side or the bad side of the law. They're both out there more together. So, and now with social media, you know, everybody talks about it. Everybody, you know, has that instant access to find out what's going on or what the sirens are about. So everybody's a little bit more involved around that. But call volume, we stay the same throughout the year.
All right, got a question coming in. Hopefully I say her name right. Carrie Wagaman, I think, or Wagaman. She says, I appreciate all you and your deputies are doing to support and keep the residents of Union County safe. Can you explain the use of reporting names given out on the scanners? So like the reporting person's name being said over the scanner is what she's saying. That could put the reporting person at risk of retaliation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, that is public information. Unless somebody calls in and says that I want to be anonymous, then their name could possibly go out over the radio. That is an option. You don't have to give your name if you're reporting a crime or you're the victim of a crime until you speak with, you know, officer or deputy when they're conducting the investigation. When it comes out across the radio, the idea behind the radio, obviously since the beginning of its inception, was to get information to people as fast as possible, to get the first responders going where they need to be going with as much information as possible. We will ask for the RP's name or information if they haven't given it to us, and so we can contact those people on the way to call. There's a certain level of personal level to it of being able to talk to someone on a first name basis or a last name basis, respectful. We need to know names. If people do not want their name broadcasted, then they have that, just make that request that I don't want my name on the radio.
Simple answer, Carrie, right there.
Yeah.
If you make a call to report a crime and you fear retaliation, just say, I want to be anonymous.
Yep.
And it's that simple.
That simple.
We got a comment coming from Dan Landa. I respect all of you. I'm glad you're working hard to do what it is as citizens are concerned about, but we need more involved at the state and local side to actually prosecute those that are. That's the same old song and dance. I mean,
100%.
That's one of those things where Cody's aware of that, and what I guess you could talk about some of the things that we're putting in place, including, you know, like the whole stuff that happened on September 1st, the change of the law. But what are you guys doing specifically?
Yeah, and I can tell you specifically, Dan, you're 100% correct. We need more involvement. We need more voices from Union County on the other side of the state. I'm in constant communication with the other 36 sheriffs, the other 35 sheriffs, excuse me. But constant communication, we're talking about legislation. We have people in the Senate, people in legislation that are working for us and telling us what's coming, what's not coming, and we try to be a voice and be an advocate. The best thing that we can do for Union County as far as getting our judicial system corrected and holding people accountable is having a voice in Salem. When we see a measure come out, we need to educate ourselves on that measure and know exactly what that means. If I vote no, what does it mean? If I vote yes, what does it mean? Because some of those measures are very tricky.
Yeah,
Measure 110
like
was one of those that, you know, a no meant yes and a yes meant no. So we have to be educated on those situations. But advocating for our local community, we need people to look out their window, see what's going on, and say, I want to do something about that. Not just close it back up and say, that's not my problem. Somebody else will deal with that. We need every individual voice that we have. It starts at the commissioners level. They field so many calls, and they are constantly talking with other commissioners around the state, working with representatives, congressmen, and their voice, they take what they hear from us locally, they go across the state, and they advocate for us. There's nothing that says that that's their job. I mean, it is their job.
Right.
But there's nothing that says they have to be the only ones that are doing it.
Right.
Phone calls from us, emails from us, the average citizen of, I don't understand why this person just broke into my home, stole my whatever they stole, police took them to jail, and now they're out of jail before the police even got their paperwork done. Or the judge says, well, you know, we're going to charge you with 20 days, but you have 20 days time served. We need people held accountable. We need accountability and consequences. I truly believe that starting at a young age, you know, you hold people accountable. They understand that there's consequences for their actions, good and bad, right? We need to get back into building that. And it starts at home, obviously, but us as adults, we have a responsibility to make our voices heard on the other side of the state. When I went down and testified for Measure 114, myself and I think there was 4 other sheriffs, but myself and another sheriff signed on to that lawsuit, and there was 4 or 5 others that supported us there. There was a lot of folks that didn't understand what that measure was about, but they voted for it. They're like, oh, well, it's gun safety. Well, I would disagree with that. You know, my 2 cents on that is it really inhibited responsible gun ownership, and it did nothing to correct the problem. And what I saw, and I still see as the problem, is that we have a culture of people that have a lack of respect for human life. It starts in the home. We have a lack of understanding what it is to be a responsible gun owner, and how they go forward with that. Biggest thing, Dan, is we need everybody to be a voice across the state. Yep.
Nice. That's a good answer. I like that. Your lovely daughter Tori says, "Love you, Dad." Randy Winterton says, "What's with the little city that is developed down the street from Heinz Meat Company?"
The little city.
I'm unaware of that. Yeah.
That's got to be.
I mean, it's got to be a homeless camp.
It's got to be a homeless camp.
Right?
I know there are some transient issues behind Safeway, and
that must be what he's talking about, I would imagine.
Right behind the storage units, right there before Heinz Meat, between Heinz Meat and Safeway in that area. Yeah, that's you know, the city council, the mayor, council members, Chief Bell. They've worked very hard at developing a city ordinance as far as, you know, when you can camp, when you can't camp. Oregon, again, for those of you that don't know, Oregon pretty much said law enforcement can't harass people that are camping without facing a fine of, you know, $1,000 on the individual deputy. So if I go back there and start addressing that situation, then I'm breaking the law. It's kind of like anybody that's a landlord out there. They understand the frustration of the landlord-tenant laws, that the landlord has, you know, very little control over that situation,
Right.
and all the rights are to the tenant, which the tenants need rights. They need to be protected as well, but it makes it very hard for us in law enforcement to address situations like that. It also, Randy, it also dictates, the landowner dictates the situation. So if somebody's been camping in that spot for more than 30 days, that landowner has to go through an eviction process through the courts to get them off of their property.
That's wild.
So if that just doesn't blow your mind, I don't know what will. But yeah, we're very frustrated.
What about so when it comes to the county responsibility, when it comes to that, what is?
Well, county responsibility is, I'm sheriff of Union County, right? So Union County is my jurisdiction. We have a municipality in LeGrand that they provide their law enforcement service for LeGrand. So we work very well together in a partnership, but criminal activity within the city limits of LeGrand falls on the responsibility of the LeGrand Police Department. And I think we have a great relationship. We work very well together.
Yeah,
we ask them for help. They ask us for help. We vibe very well together. But when it comes to certain situations, LeGrand is responsible for LeGrand. I'm responsible for outside of LeGrand in Union County. So.
Okay, gotcha. This is a live interactive show, Keeping It Clear with Cody Bowen. We're going to come back after the break. I'm going to ask Cody a few more questions, hopefully from you guys. That's the whole point of this. Loveland Safe Ride, once again, saving lives. They provide rides for events in not only Union County now, but Wallowa County as well. And they keep drunk people from driving. It's one of the greatest programs ever. Over 20 years. Kevin Loveland started this thing off of a tragedy that happened in his life. It's absolutely amazing. But the reason why he sponsors this is because he believes in what Union County is doing. You know what I mean? And what Union County Sheriff and in transparency. And that's what all this is about. We'll be back right after this.
Eastern Oregon is full of interesting people, with interesting minds and interesting things to say. Here at EO Live, we're committed to connecting you to these intriguing people with EO Talks. We let our special guests share their ideas and life experiences with deep, open, engaging, and inquisitive conversations. You'll also be informed in depth on some of the most recent and relevant events, issues, and more. EO Talks on EO Live, your connection to Eastern Oregon, now on Roku. Here in Eastern Oregon, we're blessed to live in such a wonderful area. And though it may seem mild-mannered, there's actually quite a lot that goes on in this area. And apparently, there's two dinguses who happen to be here that are actually crazy enough to get up at the crack of dawn to talk about it. Tune into AM Live on EOA with Brent and Dodsey, featuring special guests, weather, sports, news, and more, every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 a.m., only on EOA Live, your connection to Eastern Oregon, now on Roku.
Welcome back. Keeping It Clear with Cody Bowen. It's a live, interactive show on transparency. Me, Dodsey, Sheriff Cody Bowen. We take your questions in the comments on Facebook, or if you want to email me, kyle@eoalive.tv. If you don't want it up here, I won't say your name if you email it instead of posting in the comments. I mean, obviously, if you post it in the comments, everybody can see it anyways. But yeah, we talk about issues in Union County and just kind of what's going on. Cody, what about what's going on with you as the sheriff? Give me a little bit of information.
Obviously, election stuff is going on for me right now. But I took a little break from that here for a couple weeks, and I have the privilege of being able to take young children elk hunting. Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife offers up 5 or 6 tags throughout the state for kids that qualify that have terminal illnesses. And we work through an outfit called Camo Dreams, and they're based out of Florida, and they help us find qualified candidates that are interested in hunting, coming on an elk hunt. And with my good friend Steve West, he has some property that he facilitates all this, bring these families in, and I get to be the guide, the skinner, the gutter, the hauler, the working with the kids. Just involved in that program. Over the last couple weeks, we had two young men come in, and both successfully filled their bull elk tags on a hunt of a lifetime. Being a part of that, I haven't drawn an elk tag in 2 years, so I haven't gone to go elk hunting myself in 2 years. So it's nice to get up and be able to do that. We've done that together, Steve and I, for about the last 10 years now. Been successful on every hunt that we've brought a kid in. Families from all over the country come and get to be a part of that, and I feel very proud to have an impact. Folks that we don't even know, bring them into Eastern Oregon, bring them into Union County, a place that I grew up on the mountain, and share that experience with them, and add a little bit of smiles to their life through some of the kids that have the world stacked against them.
The families never forget that either.
No. I'm still friends with families that have been, through and through. We've lost some of the kids. Some of the kids have passed away. But those relationships that you build and those memories that you build, they last forever.
Yeah,
part of the portfolio they get to add to that child's life. So
you got another question coming from Dan, and you kind of addressed this a little bit, but let's expand on it. He says, "What as citizens of Union County can we do to be a bigger help from your eyes?" You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is understanding where we at as a culture in law enforcement. So educating yourself on Oregon's laws and how you can be an advocate to help law enforcement. We need excellent witnesses. We need people to pick up the phone, call 911 when that situation's taking place. I get a lot of phone calls on my cell all the time, 2 or 3 days down the road, and said, "Hey, this took place," and it's like, "Oh, I really wish you would have called 911 when that was going on, when that was happening." So, involved citizens, number one. Treat it like it's your own backyard, like it's your own house. This county belongs to each and every one of us, and we're all responsible for the livability of this place.
I agree.
So whatever you can do to be an advocate for Union County and the safety in Union County, pick up that phone, give us a call, be a good witness. If you're reporting driving complaints, it's very important for us to have a good description of the person that's driving the vehicle. We get a lot of driving complaints for people speeding or running through stop signs or whatnot. Be a good witness for us. Be able to identify that vehicle, the license plate on the vehicle, the description of the driver, the time of day. If if you call in right then, obviously we have that log, but being a good witness helps us tremendously, and being involved. Now, I'm not saying vigilante, go out there and handle stuff yourself. And that has happened over the last few months. We've had some people who have just been so fed up that they've gone out there and they're handling stuff themselves. And that might be, that might be resolution to the immediate problem of what they want fixed, but it really inhibits our ability to prosecute law enforcement into things. When it gets to the DA, we have a job to do, and there's a very specific way to do the job. But anything that you can do to help, as far as being vocal, being informative, letting us know what's going on. When you see the deputies, if they don't stop and talk to you, stop, say hi. Hey, I noticed this was going on. You're not being annoying. I say they're busy and they're doing a lot of stuff, and they are going from call to call to call. But sometimes that little bit of information, that little bit of feedback that we get from the citizen can tie something together in a whole different arena. So just be informative, be engaged. We're out there. We provide a service to you, a service that you pay for, and that requires participation on your end.
That makes a lot of sense. You know what I mean? And everybody has one of these. You can be the best witness on the planet.
For sure.
For reals.
Yeah. And also that's important. Facebook, I see a lot of stuff on Facebook before I even know about it in the law enforcement world.
Which is crazy.
It's frustrating. It's crazy.
It's
but
crazy.
Somebody will always say, well, did you call the cops? Well, yeah, I called the cops. Or no, I'm going to right now. But they spent a few minutes typing up that post or getting the picture. We need that information as fast as possible because it's always changing. It's always evolving. We need the information as fast as possible. And I will tell you that information, it's like the telephone game. Somebody calls in and said, I saw this. It goes to one person in dispatch, then it's relayed to another person. And sometimes that information gets clustered, or it's not always accurate, or something might change. But getting that information to us as soon as possible. I always say that if you think maybe you should call 911, you're on the fence, just call 911. Yeah. When in doubt, call.
Right. Yeah. So when you talk about the driving complaints, right? Mm-hmm. People call in somebody for driving.
Yeah.
You've talked about that quite a few times. Yeah. How often does that, what percentage of calls are those?
A lot.
That's what I thought.
A lot of complaints are driving complaints. And what a lot of folks don't understand is that you have the ability as a citizen to issue a citation to someone on your behalf. So if I'm Cody Bowen, the softball coach, and I'm sitting out on the side of the road and I see this young man drive by that I know who it is, I identify him clearly, I recognize he runs a stop sign, and there were some kids on the side of the road, and I want him cited for careless driving. You can call and say, I want to issue a citizen's complaint. I want to issue a citizen's citation. We will come out, fill out the citation with the crime or the alleged violation that's on there. We will sign it along with you sign it, and you can go to, and this is what turns people off, is you can go to court and testify and tell a judge that this is how I know it was him, this is what he did, and then that person will be held accountable.
I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, you have that option of a citizen citation.
I never knew that.
Yeah, that's beneficial. But we do see a lot of traffic complaints, and they're very vague. Somebody just came up my road at 60 miles an hour.
It was like they were drunk.
Yeah. What were they driving? Who was it? What did they look like? And you don't have those answers to those questions. Yeah. And by the time we get there, even if we're right around the block, if we don't see it, they could be miles down the road. So it's frustrating on our end, because we want to produce results.
Right.
We want to answer those calls, but timing is crucial, and the sooner you get the call to us, the better.
So I got a comment, and then I'll get to this next question. Nancy says, I live on C, and it's wild the amount of cars that are speeding coming down Morgan Lake. That's interesting. It's incredible and frustrating. Glad to know that that's an option.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, Morgan Lake is deceiving at times. We have set patrol up there. So for those that don't know, Morgan Lake is a city park.
Yep.
So
100%.
Morgan Lake, it encompasses the road around it, the trail, whatnot. The park itself, the lake itself is responsible. The city is responsible to that. So the Grand Police Department. However, the road going up is a county road. So that's my responsibility. So accidents or speeding or complaints or anything like that takes place on that, that's my. A lot of the times, the calls that come in, especially during the winter months, we have the vehicles that can make it up there. The city doesn't necessarily, hey, will you go check that out for me? So we help. We work with one another. But as far as the complaints on the road, Morgan Lake can be very deceiving. Morgan Lake is steep. It's got a lot of sharp corners, and it is it's one of those county roads that, and for those folks that don't know, if a county road is not posted, the speed limit is 55 miles an hour. So unless it's posted at a certain speed, then if it's safe, you can still drive 55 miles an hour. Now, no way in the world would I ever say 55 miles an hour is safe on Morgan Lake Road, right? I wouldn't say 35 miles an hour is safe on Morgan Lake Road. We do receive some complaints of the local folks that live up there that drive it every day, that are just trying to get to work, trying to get home, and it's a destination for folks. And with college coming back in, they hear about, oh, this lake, let's go up there. They check it out. They have no concept of the road, the washboard, the corners, the new guardrails, the new corner. Yeah, what those washboard roads do to a vehicle. If you didn't learn that in high school, you're going to have a
so there's
a
no
big surprise.
Posted speed limit on
I don't
Morgan Lake?
believe
I don't
there's a
think I've
posted
ever
speed
noticed
limit.
it.
I don't believe there's a posted speed limit on Morgan Lake Road. And if somebody knows better that can correct me. I know there is right when you get off of the gravel, right when you come down the
It
pavement.
changes to 25.
25, residential area. But yeah, any non-posted county road. Fox Hill Road. Fox Hill Road, from the minute you get off of Blackhawk on the pavement right there, is 55 miles an hour.
That's crazy.
55 miles an hour all the way up that road.
Yeah.
No posted speed. It's not maintained. It's a one-lane road with turnouts once you get off of the pavement.
Wow.
So there's understanding that, but that doesn't mean that it's safe to drive that speed. If you can articulate the person driving and how they were driving was careless or reckless, or caused somebody to swerve off the road, or they were going sideways on the corners, that's all can be classified into that violation, and the citizen can take that on. I just want to remind you that you have to be extremely descriptive in what's going on. So just think of it as you will be sitting in front of the judge, and the judge will say, tell me what you saw. And you have to say that I identified a person with long dark hair, facial hair, he had glasses, he was wearing a Raiders ball cap, had on a red t-shirt, driving this vehicle, and this is what he did.
Okay.
Oh,
Gotcha.
yeah. Information. It all comes down to information.
Keeping it clear with Cody Bowen, brought to you by Loveland Safe Ride. We're getting ready to wrap this up here shortly. So if you have any more questions, get them in now. I got another question from Carrie. Do you support neighborhood watch programs or help organizers start one up? Or is that a city law enforcement task? Maybe have input on what citizens can or can't do legally.
Yeah. Neighborhood watch programs are I think kind of neighborhood watch is what we used to have when I was a kid growing up back in the early 80s. It was everybody's parents was watching everybody's kid. People knew who you were, they knew where you lived, they knew when you shouldn't be out late, what you were doing, and somebody always talked about it.
It's like a Christmas story when the kid calls.
Ralphie?
Yeah.
Do you know what your son said?
Right?
Yeah, but neighborhood watches. So I've been involved with North Powder. North Powder used to have a neighborhood watch, and then they wanted to start it back up again. So we were there at the inception of that when they restarted the program. And basically what it is it just takes the involvement of people in a neighborhood or a county or a city to say, I want to be involved and I want to be actively involved in my community. And what it looks like is you have people that are willing to, when they're out on their walks, they pay attention to what's going on. You don't get involved in criminal situations. What you are is an excellent witness. You relay that information with your fellow neighborhood watch, people that are on your board or your council or your members of your neighborhood watch, and you have a great conversation with law enforcement. We have meetings that they attend, that we sit down and we talk about situations. If I have a situation going on in a certain town and there's a neighborhood watch group, we can relay that information to them. But hey, by the way, while you're out tonight, see if you see this. If you do, give us a call. It's just another line of communication between the individual citizen and law enforcement. What I will tell you is that I have never seen a neighborhood watch program carry on for more than a few months. People have their lives to live. They have other things that they need to be doing, family functions, sports. It all drags them someplace else, and these neighborhood watch programs tend to fizzle out. And I'll be honest with you, some of the feedback that we've got from some of the neighborhood watches is, it's really busy, and then you go a month or two and there's nothing going on. After 10 o'clock, nothing happens out here. So neighborhood watch is a good way to be involved with law enforcement. It doesn't give you any more authority or anything other than it just educates you. We'll sit down and have meetings of this is what we need as law enforcement to hear from you when you call this in. So it's educational, informative. It's a good tool to help deter crime or to help solve cases. But
I kind of look at it like what you alluded to earlier. everybody should be neighborhood watch.
For sure.
There shouldn't even need to be an organization. It should just be, we're looking out for each other. Like if something happens, I'm gonna let you know. Like, hey, you know, like I mean, that's just my personal opinion on it.
Yeah, I agree. It takes everybody to make things, you know, the livability in Union County. You know, over the years, we've just kind of shied away. It's not my problem, or you know, they don't want to get involved because they don't want to be, you know, they don't want to go to court, or I don't have time for that. I don't deal with it,
or this,
It's not my problem.
Which I mean, I can understand.
100%.
I mean, you know, people do retaliate. They do, you know, there's that tag, you know, that which I don't understand that part of it. But the reality of it is we just got to look out for each other, right?
For sure.
I mean, that's when it all boils down.
Yeah.
So let's wrap this up. What I mean, anything else going on at the sheriff's office? I mean, like in the near future, any events coming up? Anything people need to know? Is there a concealed handgun class coming up?
The next concealed class is coming up in November, I believe.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm a huge advocate for responsible gun ownership, concealed handgun license. What's really nice, I mean, you can take a class anywhere, you know, online. You can take a class, present that to us, and that qualifies for your certification. I would encourage, I'm obviously biased to our class that we put on. What I like about it is it's taught by law enforcement. So we share some of the stories that we've had, and it gives people a little bit better idea of the ins and outs, and we can get into more detail of that exact law specific to not only Oregon, but Union County specifically. I would encourage anybody that has the mentality of you know, I won't be a victim, to understand the laws of responsible gun ownership, educate yourself on that, lawfully carry one. You know, you have your Second Amendment right. You can open carry, you know, all you want. There are certain places, you know, that forbid that, you know, some local, you know, not restaurants, but grocery stores or whatnot, that say, you know, schools that say, you know, no open carry. We don't want to see it. But yeah, it's coming up in November. You can go online to our website, fill that application out. There is a small price for it. Then we do your fingerprinting, we do the background, and then obviously I sign off on it.
What's the turnaround time, Union County, for concealed? After you do your class, I hand you the paperwork. How fast am I getting my?
We're usually about a week and a half.
Which is crazy, because there's some counties in Oregon where you're going to wait like a year.
Charisse, who was on here before,
she
handles all our concealed handgun licenses, and it's every 2 or 3 days I have a stack of new to be approved in there. And there's sometimes, like I was gone for 2 weeks this month, so I was in and out.
And
I think I went in there Saturday night and filled out a bunch of those real quick just to get them in.
And you have to sign off on each one.
I have to prove all of them.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
So all the paperwork submitted to me. There's a stack from, you know, from their basic information to their criminal check, their background, and then whether it's a renewal or whether it's new, and then I approve and then give it back to her, and then she ships it out from there.
Sweet. Yeah. Anything else that coming up? Anything we need to know about?
Yeah. No. I mean, just things are going very well. Morale in the office is great right now. The deputies are appreciating the feedback from the community. We're getting a lot of feedback, positive stuff. I would encourage you, you know, just to establish a relationship with a deputy, somebody that you know, or somebody that you know would like to know. If you see a deputy out on the road, stop, say hi. You know, we're all just humans, and you know we have that herd mentality, right? And we like to be part of the group and felt loved. So. Establish your relationship. Also, if anybody is interested in firsthand experience this, come and get a ride-along form. Come and jump in the passenger seat with us, or LeGrand or OSP, and just sit there for an hour or two or 4 or 5 hours, whatever, and see what goes on. And it's an enlightening experience. Not only do you get to know that deputy, you get to know the other officers because we all communicate. You get to learn about dispatch, take you through the jail, whatever you want to do. But it really increases your inner know of what's going on in law enforcement, and it's a blast.
I would just encourage people not to go on a Wednesday at 5:30 because
That's true.
I mean, I've done it, and we did it live. And we didn't really get a lot of action.
No. There's some nights there is nothing going on in Union County.
which is not bad.
It's okay.
All right, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Cody, I appreciate it. I mean, Keeping It Clear with Cody Bowen, originally, I mean, the concept was your idea. I mean, you said, hey, I want to be transparent, and I think this is one way that people can ask you, questions and really, we just have a conversation like you guys have seen this last hour, and none of it's possible though without Loveland Safe Ride and his contribution, that program's contribution to transparency in Union County.
Yeah,
I appreciate you.
Likewise.
See you next time.